All right, Shalom. I want to first start off giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto our apostles, as well as the men that taught our apostles, the elder high priests. Peace and blessings unto the 144,000 and the rest of the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Abadia from the GMS Houston camp. And as we know, one of the hot topics, and not only a hot topic, but it's happening in real time. Um, the American people are experiencing uh, high inflation, okay, and we on the edge, us watching, talking about the prophets, we're waiting for this thing to lead into or spill over into hyperinflation, okay? This economy is jacked up, and this was designed, this whole failure, worldwide economy failure was designed, okay, so that they can bring in this digital system completely on a worldwide scale, and which will lead to the MOTB. All right, which will lead. So that's where really where we at. We're experiencing the crumbling of this society, the crumbling of this economy, and the people are gonna, even though it's designed, the people are gonna feel it in real time, and they're feeling it. Okay, and things are gonna get tighter and tighter. It's going to the financial burden is gonna get heavier and heavier on the people. Okay, and that bullshit about this tariffs is gonna hurt in the beginning, but it's gonna bring relief in the long run. Okay, is ultimately it's BS, because what this is gonna lead to is them resetting the economy through CBDCs, worldwide, um, a digital economy, okay, and with digital money. So I'm gonna read this. I believe I'm gonna read this entire article because I read it. I believe it's a good read, and there's all kind of articles on these tariffs. They're everywhere, you know. So brothers been doing videos on this. All right, so this just add on to the spirit. Things are getting effed up, and they're gonna get even worse. We're gonna see more calamity come upon these people, you know, and they believe in this place. The people are waiting. All the people are waiting for a stimmy. They want this. They want the stimulus to come so bad. They want the Doge to cut the checks. Well, even if they do, well, that's part of the plan, which that's gonna could lead into universal basic income. This whole thing is to put a strain on the people, then give the people the handouts, and the price. Even with the handouts, um, if things go into hyperinflation, that ain't gonna do you too much good. So what? We gotta reset the economy. Go digital, completely digital. With credits, everybody get credit lines, but there's limitations and is regulated heavily, and depending on your credit and your social credit will play in your limitations and abilities to buy and sell. Okay, so I'm gonna read this article. I'm gonna bring out some precepts or some scriptures, and Lord willing, this video is edifying. So this is off the Yahoo News. This came out yesterday. and I think it's a good article. I read the entire article. Trump's new tariffs. Here's how much more you'll have to spend on groceries, clothing, and cars, according to a new analysis. So this was okay. Well, I guess it was updated. Say Friday, April 4th, 2025 at 10:22 a.m. So this is an update, update on everything concerning these tariffs. I say on Wednesday, President Trump finally announced his long-awaited Liberation Day tariff plan, a new 10% minimum tax on all goods entering the United States from overseas, plus much greater than expected reciprocal levies on imports from major trading partners such as China. Let me read that again. So, off the back, it's talking about these tariffs. It's talking about a 10% minimum tax on all goods coming in. Okay, which the American people are going to have to pay for by increasing the price at the store. All right. It says from overseas. It says much larger than expected reciprocal levies on imports from major trading partners such as China, 34%, Japan 24%, and European Union 20%. Wow. It says to justify this unprecedented move, one of the biggest, most abrupt economic gambles in presidential history, as Axos, Axos put it, Trump claims that his tariffs would raise trillions and trillions of dollars in government revenue. It says revive American manufacturing and restore fairness to global trade. Taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, the president said Wednesday, is not going to happen anymore. But experts warn that everyday Americans will have to pay a steep price, literally, in order to make Trump's tariff dream a reality. Okay? Yeah, the people really can't take no more. Everybody's behind. People are behind on mortgages. All right, car notes, credit card debt. All right, they can barely keep enough food in the house. Okay, and then you got growing children. You got to go buy clothes. So now you getting hit over the head from every angle. The insurance rates are going up, premiums and what they call them, deductibles that you got to pay if you have certain accident or something like that, or if you got to use whenever you got to use your insurance. You see, it says, but experts warn that everyday Americans will have to pay steep. Okay, I read that. So it says stock markets have already cratered because of the tariff news. And China retaliated Friday with a matching 34% levy on all imports. I'm sorry, on all U.S. Products. Excuse me. So as we read, what are we reading? Starting up here talking about the I'm going up here, going up a minute. I'm sorry, going up a bit in this article for a minute. So starting right up in this area of the article where it says on Wednesday, President Trump finally announced his long-awaited Liberation Day tariff plan, a new 10% minimum tax on all goods entering the United States from overseas, plus much larger than expected in return, okay? Because that's pretty much what this is saying. Giving, because if you look at this is a loose definition for this word reciprocal, given, felt, or done in return, okay? Something done in return is felt from something what Trump is doing. So with his tariffs, okay? It says levies on imports from major trading partners such as China 34%, and that's what we just read down in a little bit in this article. So this is trade wars. This is what you call the beginning of trade wars. Japan 24% and the European Union 20%. You see? So it says as we go down in this article, it says stock markets have already uh, cratered because of because of the tariff news, and China's retaliated Friday with a matching 34% levy on all U.S. products. Okay? And then it's my policies will never change in all caps because Trump is proud. A defiant Trump say in response. Here are three charts that explain how much Liberation Day could cost you, according to a new analyst by nonpartisan budget lab at Yale University. How big is Trump's new tariff hike? Okay, it says back in the 18th and 19th centuries, America was a young, growing country seeking to establish itself on a global stage. Protecting industries and raising revenue with high tariffs was the norm. But since 1900, and especially after World War II, the U.S. has led the global shift towards freer trade and lower prices. Trump argues that this trend has gone too far. He's now seeking to rebalance America's relationship with the rest of the world. Okay. It says to do that, the president has decided on a sudden sweeping shift in America's effective tariff rate. When Trump took office in 2017, the weighted average tariff on goods imported to the U.S. was around 15%, which roughly doubled to 3% by the time he left office in 2021. Last year, under President Joe Biden, the rate fell to 2.4%. Wow. But now the budget lab estimates that America's tariffs rate will skyrocket to 22.5 in 2025, with about half of its increase coming from Trump's Liberation Day tariffs alone. So let me keep reading. Okay. How much more will stuff cost? This is what we want to get to. Trump has Trump has long considered tariffs a cure for the U.S. economy, vowing that they would stop foreign governments from ripping us off. Yet nearly all economists disagree with Trump's take. You see this? Noting that a tariff is actually an import tax paid by the company doing the importing, not by the foreign country. You see that? So the companies So in other words, businesses have to pay that tax. So what does that mean? The business now have to raise, since they got to pay this tax to get these goods, right? This products, they got to charge the consumer more money, all right, to make up the for the extra they had to pay, the tax they have to pay. Let's read it again. Yet nearly all economists disagree with Trump's take, noting, I may have said nothing, but noting that a tariff is actually an import tax paid by the company doing the importing, not by the foreign country or foreign business sending its goods to the U.S. The same experts have found that most importers simply pass the added cost of a tariff onto the U.S. consumer by jacking up their prices. You see, rather than going out of their way to replace the affected goods with American-made alternatives, which still tend to be more expensive, then other countries retaliate with tariffs of their own, risking a global trade war and recession. Things are going to get bad. It says, meanwhile, any efforts to shift manufacturing in the U.S. take a long time and cost a ton of money, which is another expense that consumers might have to shoulder, at least in the short term. So let's see how much more of this we got. I've been doing a lot of reading. Well, not really that much reading, but I don't read too fast. Want to get to the good stuff. All right, here we go. How will all of this affect your disposable income? The Yale budget lab estimates that the Trump's 2025 tariffs will increase inflation by 2.3%, and things are already high. It says more than half of that hike coming from his new Liberation Day levies per household. That translates into an average loss of 3,800 in disposable income, i.e., the amount you can actually spend after paying your taxes. Wow, check that out. So the average household is going to have to come up with, or have to pay an extra $3,800 a month. They can't pay what they paying now. So, people about to start breaking, man. And well, people are already breaking, excuse me. But they're going to break, more and more people are going to start breaking. Because even if they get a job, they're producing jobs for manufacturing, getting that shit off the ground. Okay? It doesn't matter if that job that they're getting is not paying them enough to match the inflation increase, which is brought on by the tariffs, or excuse me, not inflation. Well, yeah, inflation increased, but we talking about the tariffs. Okay, which is gonna help more inflate this economy more. All right, it says, but higher prices from the tariffs don't affect everyone equally. Instead, they hit the people at the lower end of the income ladder the hardest. Of course it does. And who is at the lowest end of the income ladder? Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. People who have to spend the largest share of their earnings on necessities like food and clothing. In the short run, Trump's tariffs will cost $1,700 for Americans who make about $35,000 a year. Okay, according to the Budget Lab, a 4% loss. And the other end of the spectrum, the tariffs will cost 8,100 for Americans who make about 391,000 a year, a 1.6% loss. Now you check that out. So the people that got so-called got money, they'll be able to weather the storm. Okay, but the most people, everybody, or the average falls in the $35,000 a year category. Talking about Jakes. All right, so I'll leave that right there. Let's hit some scriptures, and I'm gonna close out this video. Proverbs 29 and verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Nobody's rejoicing, okay? Everybody's catching hell. And some of the biggest hell that people are catching, probably the biggest, is financial woes. Because if, financial success, at least being able to be in a comfortable when you're in financial world, it alleviates a lot of problems. But when you don't have, you know, financial stability, okay, then it brings about a lot of problems. So people are messed up out here. They're depressed, oppressed, build everything. People hate going to the mailbox. I hate going to the mailbox. All right, it says, but when the wicked bears rule, the people mourn. So people are mourning. So we know the wicked is ruling because everybody's mourning. And this is the same thing that happened during the time of 70 AD. The Romans was heavily taxing everybody, especially the Israelites. You see? Till it got to a breaking point. Things gonna get bad out here, man. People gonna start bugging out, man, Jacobs, and people are blowing these cops away, man. You're gonna see more of that stuff happening. I'm gonna bring this out. Yep, this tariffs are gonna bring about more mourning, and it's being brought on by who? The wicked. Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 3. The point is really towards the end of the verse. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong man shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Okay? And this is going into this society breaking down. And one of the backbone, the backbone of a society is money. Okay? And the stability of the economy, household management, how well the household is being managed, because it takes money to make this society move. Okay, buying and selling, import exports, and yeah, even though people are losing their jobs, but there's jobs out here as well, and there's hiring going on. But even with that, it doesn't matter because it costs so much to live. So even just because you can get a fucking job, don't mean that everything is all good when the price of everything is through the damn roof. You see, what kind of job are being created? These manufacturing jobs, they not really paying shit. You know. Now, if you was making that type of money, say back in the early 2000s, okay, yeah, you've been doing all right. making it a lot better. But not now. Making $20 an hour is like making, speaking for, like if you down south anyway, in Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Alabama, Oklahoma, you know, um, etc. Making $20 is like back in the night shift. You was making $20 in the '90s, so shit. You was balling. You could ball on, you was hood rich off $20 an hour. And even in the early 2000s, you can make $20 an hour. And if you was working at overtime, that's good money. You know, even into it was shit. You was making $20 an hour in 2012, 13, 14. You know, now that's like making $10 an hour, if not less. Okay, it says, and those that look out the windows be darkened. Meaning what? People are seeing dark days, and that little people are blowing their income tax or their tax return money. Believe it. They man, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna get this straight and I'm gonna clean this up and I'm gonna save, and man, Jake blow their damn money, man. Give it right back to Esau. So we gonna watch this place just further crumble, okay? And stay prayed up and stay in this work, you know, and in this faith. The only one that's gonna ultimately make it through this is the elect that's over here in Babylon the Great. All right, the elect of the nation of Israel. Everybody else is doomed, you know. So, Lord willing, this video was edifying. Once again, this video just to push out that things are gonna get worse. We're gonna keep saying the same thing, saying same things over and over and over until Esau shut this internet down. Until the next one, I say shalom.